Well, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and I hope you're all doing really well. So today's video is in a slightly different setup to my usual videos, and that is because I am sat at my desk and I have my computer in front of me, and that is because today I am going to be talking about online accessibility, and in particular shopping as a visually impaired person online. Also, if you are new to this channel, then be sure that you hit that subscribe button, and also be sure that you hit that notification bell down below to receive updates whenever I post new videos. Now, I'm making this video because today, the 3rd of November, which is the day that I'm posting this video, marks Purple Tuesday for 2020. Now, Purple Tuesday is an annual event and it runs every single year, and it has been doing so for a few years now, and it was created by the charity Purple. And Purple Tuesday is an accessible shopping day for disabled people and their families, and essentially it's a day that's all about helping retailers and businesses of all shapes and sizes to understand the access needs of their customers. And lots of different retailers get involved in this and have been doing so since it was created, and it has become more and more popular and more known every single year. I made a video about this day last year, which you can check out in a card above my head right now if you'd like to go and watch that. And I wanted to make another video today to mark the occasion because I'm disabled and I care about access. So I decided to make a video talking about the access needs that I have when I'm shopping online as a visually impaired person, and some of the difficulties that I face as a visually impaired person trying to shop for products online. So that is what we're going to be talking about today. Now, I decided to make this video because originally my plan had been to make a video talking about how I shop as a visually impaired person in the current situation with social distancing. However, as many of you are probably aware by now, if you live in the UK, we are imminently about to go into another lockdown on Thursday this week, and I decided against filming a video like that because I just didn't really feel like it would be relevant at the current time, because there would be a lot of restrictions in place. That is why I have decided to make a video talking about online accessibility, because hey ho, since all this started and since lockdowns became a thing and since social distancing and self-isolation became a thing, how do people now shop for products? Online. So there are a lot of issues that disabled shoppers can face online, and I actually have some statistics to read out to you now because I'm all about the statistics. Now, according to research conducted by the charity Purple, 1 in 5 potential consumers in the UK alone have a disability, and they also add that disabled people and their families have a large amount of spending power, otherwise known as the Purple Pound. Now, you might be familiar with the Purple Pound if you watched my video on this subject last year, but for those of you who don't know, the Purple Pound is the amount of spending power that disabled people and their families have. Now, in the UK alone, it's estimated that £249 billion a year makes up the Purple Pound. Now, to add to this, the average spending power of disabled people online is £16 billion a year. However, due to inaccessibility, estimates suggest that 4.3 million disabled people click away from a website because it is not accessible, which means that £11.75 billion is lost every year due to online inaccessibility. That is a lot of money, and in the current climate, not something that should be ignored. So today I am going to be talking about more so my personal experiences shopping online and some of the issues that I face, but bearing in mind that accessibility constitutes a lot of different things, and accessibility means something different to every single disabled person you ask. So it's really important that you bear in mind that my experience is not going to be the same as someone else's experience. However, there are certain things in this video that I'm going to talk about that are very relevant to other people who have similar sight problems to me, and if this video can help at least one person who is creating a website, then I'm very grateful and very happy about that. So let's get started. Now, I also just want to add as a little plug, I recently guest posted on a website for a lovely lady in the States called Paula. Now, she has a fantastic website called PSH Virtual Solutions, and she asked me to write a blog post on some of my tips for how to make a website more accessible for disabled people. So I wrote a blog on this subject and it's now live on her blog, and I'll link that down below if you would like to go and read that. Now, one way that I feel like a lot of websites really do fall short on is having poor colour contrast and difficult to read fonts. Now, usually it will be things like if a website has pink font and it's against a white background, or it has gold font and it's against a white background, or grey font or blue font. What I'm trying to get at is that when a website uses poor colour contrast and it has very difficult to read font, maybe it's more like a calligraphy loopy kind of text, or maybe it's more like a scroll kind of text and it's more difficult to read and to distinguish, this can make it very hard for a visually impaired shopper to be able to use a website. And it's a very common thing I see in a lot of websites. Whilst I understand that aesthetics is very important, I have a fashion and style blog and a lifestyle blog, and I love making my website look pretty, but I'm also conscious that having something that has poor colour contrast and also poor font size is very difficult. So try to have a very clean looking website, try to make sure that there are good colour contrasts, try to make sure that you have a font that's of a good size and is easy to read. The next thing I want to talk about today is pop-ups. Now, honestly, pop-ups on a website are the bane of my existence. I cannot stand it when a website has pop-ups for things like subscribe to our service, or this discount code will get you this, or here is a sign-up thing to become part of our mailing list, or whatever it might be. Pop-ups are really frustrating, not only for people who've got visual impairments, but also for people who use other types of keyboard shortcuts and assistive technology to be able to navigate through, because it just slows down the process. Now, for me personally, when I see a pop-up come up, there's one of two things that bugs me. A, if you are a VoiceOver user, or if you use VoiceOver, trying to get off the pop-up is very confusing, more time consuming and frustrating. But not only that, if you don't use VoiceOver, it can be very hard to see the little tiny X in the corner to click off. Although, having said that, I do understand it when it comes to things like cookies, for example, because obviously that's privacy. If you are going to have a pop-up on your website, please make sure that it's easy to read, easy to see, and make sure it's easy to find the exit button, because that is very frustrating. The next thing I want to talk about today is search buttons. Now, for me as a visually impaired person, search buttons on websites are honestly my best friend because they save me so much time and hassle. So for me, it's really important that a website actually has their search button placed very clearly and easily at the top of their website or page. So for me, I want to be able to see it the minute I go onto the website. It has to be big, it has to be bold, it has to be easy to see, it has to have a nice big search button icon on it. It should be somewhere that I can easily spot, and it should be somewhere that is easy to find. So that is something I think that is the golden rule for all websites when you are dealing with visually impaired customers. Make sure that your search button is placed very clearly and at the top of the screen. Ideally, the search button should be one of the first things that you see, and it shouldn't be really far down, because that just makes things really difficult, especially if you are a VoiceOver user and you are trying to find it. Believe me, one thing that I know that a lot of VoiceOver users will say is that they like to have the search button very high at the top of the screen so that they can find it easier. So please make sure that you think about where you are placing your search button. Next, I wanted to talk about ingredients lists. Now, this is of course relevant for anyone who is selling a product that has ingredients in it. So where you have to list the ingredients due to allergy and intolerance reasons. So for me, it's very important when someone has to include an ingredients list that it is easy to read and it makes sense, especially if you use Voiceover or any other type of speech screen software. So for example, for me, I use Speak Screen on my laptop to be able to read longer pieces of text. And what I don't want as a visually impaired person is to have a long list of ingredients that is really difficult to make out, and everything is really smushed together. There's no breaks with commas in between anything. There is no breaks with lines in between anything, and it's not apparent what the ingredients are, especially as someone who loves beauty and skincare and makeup. And for skincare especially, I really find it hard when a website does not have an easy to read or easy to understand ingredients list, because I'm trying to find specific ingredients that suit my skin, and if it's not easy to be able to read when I'm using Voiceover or my Speak software, it's very frustrating. Now I'll read you an example from the Feel Unique website, and I'm currently looking at the Ordinary Hyaluronic Acid Serum, and I've got the product list here, so I'm going to have it read it out to me and I can show you what I mean.
Aqua water, sodium hyaluronate, crosspolymer, panthenol, and felchiconsina extract, glycerine, pentylene glycol, propanediol, polyacrylate crosspolymer 6, ppg 26 butaf 26, peg 40 hydrogenated castor oil, trisodium ethylenediamine desuccinate, citric acid, ethoxydiglycol, capranyl glycol, hexylene glycol, ethyl hexyl glycerin, phenoxyethanol, chlorphenazine.
Now that's an example when an ingredients list actually has commas or line spacing in between them. Now that is pretty okay for me to read as someone who uses Voiceover or Speak Selection. However, I personally think that a lot of websites could add on this and actually categorize the ingredients by different things. So if it's like a bulking agent, then to put it in that category. If it's a ingredient that actually has skin benefits, to put it in that category. And to maybe have a bit more of a system where things are categorized in order of what they are, because a lot of the time with a lot of these websites, when you have an ingredients list, they will also have a hyperlink where you can access more information about the product or about the ingredient or about other products that have that ingredient in there. But as someone who has a visual impairment, it isn't very easy for me to do that. So to actually have a more easier and more user-friendly ingredients list where the ingredients are divided into subcategories would be a really great idea. That's not something I've ever seen any website do as of yet, but I think that would be really useful for anyone who is looking at how to make their ingredients list a bit more user-friendly. Next up we have photos. Now I've got a lot to say about photos actually on websites, because there is quite a lot that I feel that a lot of websites lack. One of the things that I find very frustrating about a lot of websites is that a lot of them, when it comes to things like beauty products especially, they will have a product. So for example, it could be a skincare product and it's in a clear or a white bottle, and they will put that product against a white background. And for me, as someone who has a visual impairment that affects my ability to focus, this is the most annoying thing that they could do, because it's such a poor colour contrast. It's really hard to make out what the product is. It's hard to see what you're looking for. And when you're scrolling through a website and all you can see is these tiny little product bottles and they're against a white background and they are thumbnail sized images, it's really hard to see and to find what you're looking for. And so many websites do this and it's really frustrating. So in all honesty, if you have a product that has a white or a clear packet, put it against a different colour, put it against a black background or a dark pink background or a dark blue background or a dark grey. Just have a bit more colour contrast, because a white background with a white or clear product is not easy to see. Then there are also the matters for people who use Voiceover and they cannot see an image. Now often a lot of websites will not add alt text to their images. Now what alt text is basically where you add text to describe what the image is. So a person who uses Voiceover, when they toggle onto that image, Voiceover will tell them what that image is, so that they will know what they are looking at. So it won't just be nothing, there won't be silence where that picture should be. There will actually be an audible guide as to what that picture is. So that is one thing that I think that a lot of websites need to do. And actually, let me see if I can show you an example right now on the Food Unique website. So they have good image descriptions, but they also have some that kind of don't really tell you what it is. So for example, there's quite a few banners with new products that have launched or new launches. So this is what it will tell you when you scroll through them.
Hero banner, link, image, bottle, extinguisher, lighter.
So that's an example of when an image doesn't contain any useful information and you are scrolling through not knowing what something is. And then this is where they do a better job when it comes to their new products. So this is another section of their website that has new releases, so I'll show you what I mean.
Huda Beauty hashtag faux filter skin finish buildable coverage foundation stick 12.5 grams. Link, image.
So there's some examples. On the one hand, you have some examples there where a website doesn't go into great lengths to describe what the image is, and if you are a VoiceOver user, you are scrolling through and it will just tell you that it's an image or a header image and you won't really know what you are looking at. And then you have some other examples where an image is clearly described and it's explained what it is, and it will say that it's a link image, for example, and it's clear that you are on the image to that product and that you have to click onto it to find out more information. So that is one particular piece of advice that I would have for anyone who is interested in accessibility for VoiceOver users. Now let's talk about buttons. Now, similarly to photos and images actually, one thing that I find that is very frustrating if you use VoiceOver is when a website does not clearly label their buttons or their widgets. So when a website does not clearly outline what their button is and what you are scrolling on when you are using VoiceOver, it can just be a bit of a mess because you are navigating through a website and there's no clear indication as to what you are scrolling on, and it's hard to tell what part of the website you are on. I'm currently on the ASOS website now, and I'm going to show you what it's like when you have buttons that are easy to navigate. So let's have a little look, shall we?
Open navigation menu.
So open navigation menu button, so I know that if I was to click on that I would get onto this section where I've got the subcategories like dresses, jeans, trousers, coats, things like that. So I know that would take me to that part of the website.
ASOS logo, back to the home page, visited, link, image.
So that tells me that it's a logo, but if I was to click that, I know that I would be able to get back onto the home page. So again, when a website actually says what the button does, that is very useful.
Search button.
Search button.
My account, link. Saved items, link. Bad 0 items, link. Shop women, link.
Okay, shop women link, so I'll go on to that.
Skip domain content, in-page link, banner, landmark, skip domain content, up to 50% off, heading level 2, link, article, cold weather styles, selected styles marked, shop the new brand, link, a picture of a model wearing a black dress, available at ASOS vertical line ASOS style feed, image, adult, clothing, purse.
So this is really good actually. I actually find the ASOS website to be very, very good at accessibility. So when I scrolled onto the actual image, it actually told me what the image was and that the person was wearing a black dress, and I knew what that was. So as you can just tell by that brief demo, when a website actually shut up! So as you can see by that quick demo, when a website actually takes the time to not only tell you what the button is when you're using VoiceOver, but also to tell you what the button does and what happens when you click onto it, I think that is very beneficial. And of course, when it comes to screen readers, there are different types as well. So not everybody will use Apple products like myself. And of course, Apple products do have the benefit of having built-in VoiceOver software where you can access it immediately and you don't have to download anything separately. But of course, you also have Android as well. Android devices have access features on them too, although I don't have any personal experience of using them myself. And then you also have things like third-party software like JAWS or Dolphin or ClaraRead, which you can download and use on different devices. And there are different types of VoiceOver software that different people use. Everybody uses something different, everyone has a preference. So now the final thing I'm going to touch upon today is to do with website navigation, and one thing that I find very frustrating is when a website will have information that is very crucial to the product or links that are very crucial to the product, and they will be buried quite low down on the page and you have to go through things like pop-ups or related products or your product history, things that you've searched for before, or you know, carousel widgets that have different pop-ups on those, or promotional widgets, things like that. What I'm trying to get at here is that when I'm looking at a product, be it a face cream, be it a new gadget, I want to find the information that is very crucial to me as a consumer. So I need to know things like the price, I need to know the ingredients, I need to know the delivery time, I need to know all of the information that is going to be important as to whether or not I can purchase something. Often websites put it quite low down and it's spliced in half, and it will have other pop-ups or other widgets in between. When you have the useful information and it's buried below other things that are less important to that consumer at that current time, it makes it very hard to navigate that website and to find what you're looking for, and it might mean that that person will just end up getting frustrated and clicking away. Make sure everything important is at the top and everything less important is at the bottom. So that is everything I wanted to discuss for today's video on this subject. Now again, bearing in mind, like I said, this is only my lived experiences and everyone has different experiences, and of course everyone has different access needs, and I'm only one visually impaired person and I can't speak for every single person, but I hope that what I have spoken about today is relevant to a lot of you guys watching. And if any of you guys have anything to add to this conversation about how you feel that websites could be more user-friendly to visually impaired people, or even if you're not visually impaired, if you've got any disability, feel free to comment. Everybody is welcome. And thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment and subscribe to this channel if you are new, and I will see you in my next one. Bye everybody, and stay safe.